Hello everyone and welcome to episode 12 of All the Mods 3. So last episode we killed 12 Chaos Guardians and I was going to kill another 12 off camera, which I did not do because I got tired of fighting Chaos Guardians. This episode we are going to make some progress towards the All the Mods Star, which allows us to make creative items, and I thought we should start with the Forge Industrium ingot. It's one of the complicated parts that we have to make. I looked at the recipe, it's not that bad. We already have most of the ingredients. We can technically make this, and there's no point of not doing that. A block of insanium, nice. That's the insane recipe. We can also make the MOX nuclear fuel from Industrial Craft without getting into an actual nuclear reactor from Industrial Craft because it has a cheaty recipe. So I think our plan for today should be doing this, and hopefully by the end of the episode we will have one forged Industrium. So first things first, we need to change our clothes because that's a very expensive suit and I am not going to lose that. And in between episodes, instead of killing 12 Chaos Guardians, I made this. It's just a hole in the ground, but the idea is that I wanted to make an altar for our chaotic fusion crafting. There might be a draconic ball of energy down there. We will add lava, we will add a volcano, maybe some statues. I wanted to make it look sinister, and I wanted to make, well, a sort of an altar for our chaotic fusion crafting because making those things is very difficult and I wanted to have a structure for it. We are going to have a very busy day, so let's start by making the arc furnace. I remembered that I had this personal chest from maybe episode 3 when we made the coke ovens. I never used it, but we have all the parts we need for the arc furnace. I know building with bricks is not a very good idea, but I want to keep consistency in our builds. Our last immersive engineering devices were on top of a brick platform, so the arc furnace will also be on top of a brick platform. So this is my first ever arc furnace. I never built it before. It looks similar, so let's see. Wow, okay. It looks nice. Oh, look at the particle effects. And in order to make the electrodes for the arc furnace, we are going to need a crusher as well. So this also looks similar. Do I have to click here? Here? There? Okay. Yeah, I have already built this before. It's very cool. If it's powered and you jump in it, it will kill you. I used it as a mob crusher once and it was so fun. I'm literally running around this arc furnace and right clicking in order to find how does this thing get power, and oh yeah, it's here, okay. Well, apparently it gets power from the back. I did not know that. It's literally my first arc furnace. So for now we're going to use crates as outputs because we are not going to use these devices that much, and our first order of business is to make the electrodes for the arc furnace. So we need some crushed coke and it should spit it here. Yeah. So what should we do with this? We should put it in a stunned industrial squeezer or a manufactory. Okay, I prefer the manufactory because yeah, I don't have to make another platform for the industrial squeezer. Cool. So 8 crushed coal coke equals 1 HOP graphite. Yes. So 1 metal press mold for the electrode rods. And we need to smelt the graphite dust into ingots. Then we switch the mold. And we drop the ingots on the conveyor belt and they should be pressed into electrode rods. Yes, and it's going into our ender chest, so we should have it in our ME system. And we put them in the arc furnace. Apparently after you make your first one, which starts at 50% durability, you can repair them, but it's fine because they don't use that much durability anyway. So our next order of business is to make ludicrite. In order to make ludicrite, we need plutonium. In order to get plutonium, we need plutonium dust, which comes from a fractionating steel using fluid cyanide. Fluid cyanide comes from a cyanide dust, and that comes from cyanide. So we need to get into extreme reactors. In this mod pack where the recipes have been tweaked, we have 3 options in order to make the controller from the extreme reactors. They are a little bit complicated. I'm going to take the Industrial Craft version because we already have the infrastructure for it. The TechReborn one is like, are you kidding me? It looks so complicated. And we don't have the nuclear craft infrastructure. We have some of the devices, but we don't mass produce anything. So it makes sense to go on with the Industrial Craft version. I have to create a lot of patterns and do a lot of auto crafting, and I don't think it's entertaining for you to watch all of that, so I will fast forward through this, and when we get to building the reactor, I will bring you back in. And every time I pass by here, I just make a new stack of vibrant cores because we are going to need a lot of them, and well, it's good to have some on hand. I already made a few stacks. So I am going to make a 7x7x5 extreme reactor. It's not going to be super big because we are not going to use it for power, we're just going to use it for cyanide, and we don't need that much cyanide anyway, so I think this size should be good enough. And since we don't want the reactor to be super efficient, we want it to make cyanide, I am going to go with the checkerboard formation because, well, it looks nicer from outside. That's a miss. It looks nicer from outside when you put gelid cryotium inside, and it looks like a reactor. So this will be our setup. Alright guys, now I have a small guilty conscience because everybody in every YouTube video says that we are not going to make the most efficient reactor, and they never explain to you what is the most efficient reactor. So let's talk about it a little bit. So imagine that fuel rod, and imagine those are the walls of the reactor. So if you go on cardinal directions, that's the space that you should have for fuel efficiency. The more air gaps you have and the more coolant you put next to them, it will make it more efficient. If you put more rods next to each other, that will increase their reactivity and it will produce more power. So if you want more power and not fuel efficiency, put control rods next to each other, and if you want fuel efficiency, you should put a minimum distance of 3 blocks and fill it with a proper coolant. Gelid cryotium is the best coolant, but it's also the most expensive one. So I hope that was a good explanation. And I don't know how much you're familiar with extreme reactors, but you need one controller. The outside should be surrounded by casings. In between you can put glasses like this. You also need 2 input valves and RF output. You have to switch one of them to output valve. This will be for cyanide, it's blue. The other one will be yellow for uranium. It's supposed to be yellowite, but in this mod pack we don't have yellowite, it's just uranium. So I just fill this in and I'll bring you back. So this is almost done, we just have to fill it in with a coolant, and since we have gelid cryotium, I think I'll just put gelid cryotium inside. So we have gelid cryotium on auto crafting because I use it a lot for the cryo stabilized flux ducts. So I just need one, well, we don't need to fill the tank, but we need maybe 50-60 buckets. So I'll wait for it to fill in and we'll see how it goes. So coolants are fluids, and in order to place a fluid on the ground you need to use buckets, and if your reactor is super big you will run into problems because you need 40 buckets to fill them in. You can use a tank from Mekanism because it has a bucket function, so if you need 40 buckets of fluid you just carry one tank instead of carrying buckets. There is also a fluid outlet from Immersive Engineering which acts like a floodgate if you played in 1.7. So I think I'll use this. So we put the control rods on top of the fuel rods and we cover the holes with casing or glass. When you put the last one, the structure will change and the multi-block structure will form. So this is an active reactor, we just need fuel. So let me get some uranium. I don't know how much it's going to need, but we will see. It's not going to need that much fuel, so okay. Well, yeah, it's almost full. So if we come to the controller, how much fuel are you using? 156. Okay, it's not that much. So we turn it on and it's functioning, as you can see. It's not fuel efficient, as I told you, but it's already making 12,000. That's not bad. Also, I forgot to mention that cyanide comes out of the output, the blue one, which is the same color. And if it reaches 64, it will no longer be able to hold more cyanide, and your reactor will start keeping the waste inside and it will be less efficient. So that's also something to keep in mind for efficiency. So let's do the processing. We need a pulverizer to pulverize cyanide, we need a magma crucible to smelt it into liquid, we need a fractionating still to get the plutonium dust, and we need a redstone furnace to get the plutonium ingot. And we are going to power the devices using the reactor itself, because as long as the reactor is running, we might as well use the power. I also made some signalum plated item ducts because from thermal expansion, because they transfer 4000 RF and they also transfer items, which is good because we need to transfer a lot of items, and this way we will use less pipes. And they do connect to the cryo-stabilized flux duct. So we need to also set filters. Where is the cyanide? Oh, not here. Here. Cool. Just as a small note, I switched the input and output because now it's closer to the pulverizer and we need less piping. So we set the filter and a drawer with a void upgrade in case of cyanide overflow, which will happen anyway. And we start configuring the devices. So you're getting cyanide, you're pulverizing it, we output it to the magma crucible, and wow, that's going to be very slow. Okay, fine. So we need a fluid duct to transfer the fluid cyanide into a fractionating steel. And okay, I need to configure this. Did you work? Yeah. So a byproduct of this operation is liquid mineral from integrated dynamics. If we put a drying basin here, the liquid mineral, and I need a wrench, the liquid mineral will go into that drying basin and it gets converted into mineral blocks, and we don't have to make a manual squeezer and jump up and down on the manual squeezer to squeeze the mineral out of the wood. So this is also nice. It's complicated but nice. And as usual, everything goes into an ender chest into our ME system. So I also set up an export bus which goes into an ender chest, and it will provide us with uranium at our extreme reactor site. And this way we don't have to do it manually. And this place is so bad. Good thing that we have it covered behind the wall. Nobody can see it. So the hole we dug under the extreme reactor looked very ugly, and I thought, okay, let's make a room, and I'm not sure how it will be designed. I might change it. I actually have changed it twice by now, and well, this is the third attempt. Hopefully third time's the charm. I'll work on this and I will bring you back. Well, I think I'm done, almost. Well, at least the main room is done. Don't worry about the white blocks, they're construction foam and they will be dried up into reinforced stone from Industrial Craft 2. I think it's okay, we just need to make a facade. I also made this switch. It's so cool. I don't know if it's on purpose or not. One more time, yeah. We have to close it, yeah. It's so fun. Our next order of business is to get tungsten steel plates, and for that we need to get into TechReborn, which is one of my least favorite mods because it has very weird mechanics, it's very complicated, devices don't look nice, and it doesn't add anything to the gameplay, so I never went into it. But we don't have a choice right now, so let's get on with it. Tungsten steel is an alloy of tungsten and steel in an industrial blast furnace. In order to make the blast furnace, we need copper-nickel heat coils, and for that we are going to need a rolling machine. And for some reason that rolling machine does not interact with the ME interface, and that's one of the reasons that I don't like this mod. So a pattern for the blast furnace and the blast furnace itself. And of course a wrench, because they also break if you break them with a pickaxe. The blast furnace is a multi-block structure, and if you press the edge it will show you a hologram of how you should set up that multi-block structure. The heat that the blast furnace is going to produce depends on the casings and the blocks that you're going to use for that multi-block structure, as well as if you put lava inside. I don't really want to get into the highest tier, which requires chrome, because making chrome in TechReborn is very difficult, so let's start with the standard casings and see how much it produces. So this is the multi-block structure, and inside is hollow, so you can put lava and it will increase the heat. We need 3000, so how much do you make? Okay, not even half of that. Are you kidding me? Okay, let's go a higher tier. So I went to the advanced tier and it's still not enough. So apparently we need to get into making chrome, and just to let you know, I also put lava inside. That increases the temperature. I tried pyrotium, apparently they don't function together, so lava was the only option. So eventually we need to make the chrome, and making chrome in TechReborn is not very easy. We need an electrolyzer, I guess. How do we get the chrome dust? Yeah, an electrolyzer, and for that we are going to need 9 ruby dusts. And we are not collecting rubies, but we have a digital miner, so it should not be a problem. Let me try this and I will bring you back. So we had a little bit of ruby, I pulverized them, I made an electrolyzer, and I just want to check it. And luckily they do work with the draconic wireless crystals, so it's fine. Where did the power go? Okay, nice. It is working. Well, I made some overclocker upgrades from TechReborn, and I think, what are they called? Overclocker, yeah. I made some overclocker upgrades. We'll see if it goes considerably faster or not. I think it's the same. But if it gives me a... yeah, okay. Well, I was going to say if it gives me a chrome dust, I'm happy, and, well, it did. So, I'm happy. Alright guys, I made a very small setup based on storage drawers, and we are going to provide it with empty cells and also ruby dust, and it should work. We are not going to need that much chrome, because we are going to only need it for the casings for the blast furnace, and it should be fine. I just have to set up our digital miner, and oh, you can configure them. How do you do that? Oh no, not there. Well, at least we can configure them. I'll do that. I'll fix the digital miner and I will bring you back. So apparently making the chrome dust in this thing is faster than making it in the blast furnace. So I really want to try this. Okay. Oh wow, it has an animation. Where did it go? Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. I don't know why I never built this in my life. Okay. Oh wow. You see the heat. This is so cool. I love this thing. So in order to make ludicrite, the next item we are going to need is draconium shard, and for that we are going to need hydrogen chloride, which is hydrogen and chlorine in an infuser, and chlorine comes from brine in an electrolytic separator. So that's actually a very easy recipe. We can do that easily. Alright guys, I made a small project shulker box, and we are going to make a solar evaporation plant from Mekanism. This is going to be fun. So in order to make a thermal evaporation tower from Mekanism, you need 4 solar panels, 1 controller, 2 valves, and sufficient amount of blocks. So you make a base of 4x4, and like so. Oh, sorry, okay, that one's extra. We'll break it very shortly, like so. And then you need to make a wall. The inside is hollow because it will be full of water later on. And it could be a maximum of 18 blocks tall. So, well, we don't need to make it maximum size. Oh, I ran out of blocks. We have 1 more stack. Oh, lag. Yeah, this place is still laggy. I turned... okay, no, it's because of the draconic evolution thingy. So, we make 1 more. Yeah, it looks okay. So, you put 2 blocks there, 2 blocks there, 2 blocks there, 1 block here, and then you put the controller here. And then you need to put the solar panels. So 1 here, here, and here, as well as here. So my particles are off, but normally you should get red particles that the multi-block structure has formed. Now we need to provide it with water. In order to have an input for water, you need to break 1 of the blocks and put 1 of the valves inside, like so. And you also need to output the brine, which is going to be a product of water. So you put another one here, which will be our output. Normally you should use infinite water source and pumps from Mekanism with fully upgraded, but we don't need that much of this material, so I believe this infinite water source from overpowered, and some pipes should do the job. I put 3 just in case. Yep, it does work. So we are now providing it with water, and this should be providing us with brine. Yeah, it does. Normally you should put this thermal evaporation plant in a desert because it's the most efficient place. It should be a dry climate, but we don't need that much, so this is fine for us. So we have power here, and we can just hide it under the ground because we don't need to see it that much. So a fluid pipe for the brine. and one electrolytic separator in order to get chlorine, and another electrolytic separator in order to get the hydrogen, and we are going to dump the oxygen. So hydrogen is connected to the left side of the chemical infuser, and okay, yeah, it's a gas, and chlorine to the right side, and we should get hydrogen chloride. Yes. And finally a chemical injector to use the hydrogen chloride to process the zirconium. And if we give it zirconium ore, it should give us zirconium shards any moment. None of them are upgraded, but that's something we should do later on. Oh, why? It gives you 4. Oh yeah, I actually forgot, because hydrogen chloride is used for quadrupling in Mekanism. So that's nice. And don't worry guys, in between episodes I will try to compact this place, make a small building for it and make it look nice. For now we're just going to leave it. Do you remember that boring episode where we had to breed bees? Now they come to use. We need these golden combs in order to get the golden grains, which we are going to use for the Industrium ingot. You should use a centrifuge from forestry and do not use the thermal expansion one, because they do not give you the golden grains, they just give you gold dust and they will just waste your combs. We also need a recipe for the insanium ingots, and I just did that and we have plenty of insanium. So we are going to need some terra steel in order to make some Gaia ingots. And some Gaia spirit ingots. Oh yeah. Alright guys, this is the moment of truth. Will you make them? Will you? Oh yes. We have 2 of them. So one of the other parts that we're going to need is the MOX nuclear fuel from Industrial Craft, and since it's radioactive you need to make a hazmat suit, and if you don't wear it you will get radiation and it will probably kill you. I wanted to try it on. Let's do this thing. How do I look? That's weird. That's funny. I like it. So after a very long time we had enough chrome in order to make the casings that we were going to need for the blast furnace. So now we should be able to make the tungsten steel. And this is the last block. So do you... yes. Okay, so we are able to make the tungsten steel because it requires 3000 degrees and we have 3700. So we take some steel and... please work. Oh wow, okay, it uses a lot of power. How much power do you need? Well, I don't care as long as it works. Alright guys, I added the quantum entangle porter and now it works very fast. It's called hot tungsten steel ingot. Will it burn me? No. It's not hot then. And we will cool it down with gelid cryotium. Oh yeah. Okay, that was the last part of the puzzle. We just need to use a compressor in order to make the plates. And of course, I put it on auto crafting, so this should work. Perfect, let's go get our ingot. If I'm correct, this should be the recipe. And any second, yes. Okay, so we have 1 part of all the mod star and we have 2 parts to go. The mana tablets, I don't actually count them, we have plenty of mana. So we are done. Perfect. I'm very happy. Alright guys, I thought for wrapping up the episode, I just put a MOX nuclear fuel in my inventory and see what happens. Okay, so will you kill me? Oh, 5 minutes. Well, maybe it was not the wisest decision. Anyway, with the forged Industrium ingot, I think it's time to wrap up the episode. Sorry it was longer than usual, but I could not cut the episode more than this. And in any case, I hope you enjoyed it, and I want to thank you for watching. Till the next episode, bye bye. Also, if you eat notch apples, apparently it doesn't kill you.